Welcome to Beyond Sundays, a podcast from two friends trying to follow Jesus more closely. Odds are you won't always agree with us, and we'll stumble along the way, but we promise to be open and honest all the way through. I'm Matt here with Hannah. We've got a website you can use to keep our show links and socials all in one place. Check out beyondsundays.pod.com. We're grateful for all of our listeners and genuinely thank you for fitting us into your busy life. Or maybe since you're listening to this the week after Christmas, maybe it's not as busy of a life this week. That's our hope for you. But either way, thank you for listening to us. Hannah, we love our people. They are the best.
They are. They're the best. We've got the best people. They're supportive. They're wonderful. We love all the things they share with us. Yeah, and I hope that you're chill this week. I hope this week is easy and that you're off work. That's the big thing.
Guys, that is the voice of 8 a.m. Hannah. We have never recorded this early. So.
We have never recorded this early, and I did not get up and go to the gym this morning. So I've been up since like, I don't know, 6:15, but
I haven't been doing those cleans. Okay.
No, not I should have this morning, and I did not. It was 4:40, and I was like, I texted one of the girls in the group. I'm like, yeah, I slept terribly. I'm not going. So
that's totally fair. That is totally fair. The question is it worse to go to the gym at 4:40 in the morning, or is it worse to go to the dentist at 11:40 a.m., which is what I'm scheduled to do today?
I think the dentist. But what's funny is I used to like it as a kid.
Okay.
And this is a weird, like, maybe TMI just for me as a human being, but like I felt like it used to slow. It was the one chance I would be able to slow my mind down. Like I was forced to sit in a chair.
Huh.
I couldn't have anything. Like I just was forced to be in my own head. And so I used to like that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, I do not like it at all. I think I work myself up. Like you go in and they're picking around in your teeth and it's uncomfortable. And then I just can't relax. There's no in my head and relaxing any longer.
Well, this is the one thing I wish. The place that I go, I've had the same lady clean my teeth the last like 4 or 5 times I've been. And she could not be a nicer person, like legitimately super kind, but she just motor mouths all the way through everything that we do.
What are you supposed to do?
All of it, all the way through. It's like I'm her therapist, just like listening. She's not telling me problems, but she is just continuously. So I do wish that, and again, this lady is super nice, but she's talking so much and almost like hypnotizes me into it, like sends me into the twilight zone. Like I can't focus because she is talking so much.
And do you have to shake your head and like acknowledge?
Yeah. And then, she's pretty skilled at it, but she'll ask me a question and then she's got like 10 more seconds of cleaning to do and I can't answer. That's always just kind of a weird thing, but I think that's every dentist's office. Here's what I wish. I wish there was an option for just like a quiet room. Just like
I wish that for everything.
You let me sit there and you also just, it's okay. I don't need to speak to you. Again, she's super nice and I'm not trying to be mean, but like, I just want to sit there. You do your work. I'm just going to zone out and not have to focus on whatever else is going on. Cause you're right. They are like rooting around in your mouth and scraping plaque off whatever they're doing. It's just too much for me all at the same time. She's going to hypnotize me today.
And it's like, that just brings you to a bigger idea. I wonder how many people in the world, and I want honestly, like prefer to have those quiet times. Like if I go get my hair done or I go get my nails done, like I got my nails done yesterday. She and I talked the whole time and it was awesome. Like it really was a good conversation. Majority of the time though, like I'm talking 98% of the time, I don't want to talk. And it's just because we do that all the time. And honestly, the older I get, I realize I am more introverted than I am extroverted. There's that one that's like back and or I don't know. Either way, I wonder how many people really feel that way or if they really do want to talk the whole time.
Do you know how there's those goofy things that you can put on your shirt, like open to a hug, handshake only? You know what I mean? It's like the dentist. It's like all offices like that, service businesses like that should have some kind of thing that you can put on your shirt, like what you're open to and what you're not open to. Because really, the person doing the work, they don't know, and so I think they're kind of trained to be polite and kind and have conversations with you because I think that's what people want. But I just telling you, nothing against them at all. I just don't want that.
That's exactly how I feel. The worst. And this is such a privilege to be able to get this, but I've gone in and gotten a massage before. And I have had people that will, I do not talk to me during that. Like why? I want to be able to mark that. I want to be able to check that. Do not want to talk during this time. And you would think that they wouldn't.
Yes, a massage seems. I've never had like a another human being massage me before.
Yeah.
But you would think that is 100% part of the massage is to not do
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
No,
And your
you would
face
be
is like down in
shocked.
the little towel open area thing, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh
And you can, I
man.
mean, there's no issue with talking,
I
but
know.
like, I'm not trying to have casual
Yeah. The
conversation.
whole point of this is for me to relax. Oh, it's so funny.
There
It's so
needs to be a
funny.
checkbox for
All right,
all of these
businesses,
things.
get at the Beyond Sundays podcast out there. We just gave you a free idea for how to, work with your customers on just let them mark, right? Just like mark yourself as safe
Yes.
on Facebook. Just mark yourself as a non-talking
Hairdressers, nail
customer.
people.
Yeah.
Yes. Just give us an option for that.
Totally fine. It's totally fine. Well, listeners, you're listening to a podcast. We're going to talk for the rest
Yeah.
of the time here.
Yes,
If
we
you
are.
need some quiet time, there's a real easy solution. Just hit pause and come back to
Yeah.
us when you're ready, right? We don't want to intrude on your life, your lifestyle. This is our last episode, Hannah, of 2025. And
Crazy.
what a year-long journey this has been.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you'll kick me across a Zoom call, but you were reluctant to do this at first.
100% I was. Yeah.
And I had to really kind of talk you into this. And I actually do another podcast with my brothers about St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And I had
Yeah.
such a good time starting that one that I was like, Hannah, we have to do that. Like we have phone conversations all the time. So
Yeah.
I just right here at the beginning, I just want to say, like, I could not be more glad that we did this. What an awesome year this has been.
It has been wonderful. It's been wonderful. And I've been edified. I think you've been edified. It just has been wonderful. And then the listeners to hear back from them. It's just been really nice to put our conversations out there as opposed to it just being us two.
Exactly. Well, so I have a little bit of a rubric that we're going to work our way through for what we've learned as people about our faith, about our friendship, about podcasting too. We'll
Yep.
peel back the curtain a few times for our listeners today, and I just want to kind of go through this and talk about. I know that there are probably listeners who have specific things that have impacted them or hit them or they've been interested in, but I think it's good for you and I to also reflect on things that have interested us and, changed us in the year. So let's just start there. Hannah,
Yep.
is there one episode, or it could be part of an episode or maybe multiple episodes if you want to? Is there an episode that stands out to you that really changed you?
I feel like I actually wrote down four that
Okay.
that really made an impact. And I truly think it's because there's this theme. So if I had to choose one, it would be episode 39, Beyond the Verse, getting deeper in the Bible. And it's
Mm,
when we really started talking about themes. And the reason I say that that one was number one for me is because I think it took my idea of how I viewed the Bible outside of just reading it and pulling out information, but really starting to look at themes. And you've been teaching that in church as well, so I'm getting it in both places. But I
mhm.
feel like it just really set me up to dive into the Bible differently. Plus, I noticed myself doing that in previous episodes, and now I can be more conscious of it. So that one was, if I had to say the number one,
Hmm.
I think it's that because it really changed my mindset and how I viewed the Bible.
So it's not a subject matter, it's like a skill.
It's a skill, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that one opened it up to that skill. Do you have a
Okay.
number one?
I do. Mine is a subject matter. It's episode 18. Matt is afraid to die. Is that okay?
Okay,
And that
okay,
was. It's hard to put. I mean, I know probably people listening to this. It just seems like you and I'll talk about anything. We don't really care, but it is kind of hard to put out the things that scare you into the
yeah,
public realm for other people to consume. So that was a weird conversation for me to have. I was glad I was having it with you as all these conversations. That's obviously a safe space for me. But just being able to talk through and process some of that stuff and just kind of ask questions like how do I come to grips with the fact that I'm a Christian that believes in eternal life and yet I'm still now today I'm still scared for
afraid
this
of
life
it.
to end. Yeah. That was a weird thing to do. It's just, I don't know. It was just good to open up and talk about some of those things that were really deeply held stuff.
Yeah.
So that helped me quite a bit.
Um, I also really liked episode. This is, I guess, a lot of mine are in the 30s and 40s.
That's okay. We've
Well,
been
most
hitting
of
our
them are in the
stride.
30s. Yeah. So episode 37, I really liked. It was the dispute over Moses's body, and there was a portion that we got into where it talked about this idea of delayed vengeance and what is, I can't read my own handwriting, and in trusting God's justice.
Mm,
So that was a big thing. I feel like that's been a big. I think it's deeper rooted, but I think that's been this big shift in my mindset is understanding ultimately, we've talked about this hundreds of times. I want to step in for God. Sometimes God doesn't do things and I'm like, God, come on. And so I want to take over and I want to step in and handle God's business for him.
Hmm.
But I feel like that episode really pushed me and opened my eyes to, like, there are going to be things that go wrong and you don't have to be the one to serve justice. You just keep doing what you're supposed to do and God handles it. And maybe not other people, but that is totally against my nature. Like, I want to stand up and do it right then and there
Sure.
and handle it. And I think that was pretty eye opening for me. Episode 37. And then going into I had episode 46 when the Bible gets weird. It's when we talked about Elisha and the Baldy, that whole
Yeah. Yeah.
episode.
Sure.
And again, that immediate justice, like wanting to handle it, but realizing that it was Elisha that cursed them, but
Hmm.
it was God that took care of the issue. And then also that spiritual authority piece. Um, that's a weird one for me. Kind of how you
Yeah,
talk
that's still
about,
something we need to return to. You're right.
we do, because I think maybe both of us have that, like, that little, like, ick towards spiritual authority that maybe shouldn't be there, but is there. And I get kind of like prickly when I hear it. So that opened up some things for me. And then I have one more that I
Yeah,
really
please. No, this is your podcast, girl.
episode 33, about being comfortable in Christianity, a comfortable Christianity, and are we playing it too safe? And again, for me, it goes back to this idea of, and I'll, in some of our other prompts, I'll talk about this, but this idea of radical Christianity.
Mm.
So I'd heard it talked about before by Francis Chan that radical Christianity really is just Christianity.
Hmm.
And I've always known that, but there were aspects of Christianity that I feel like I just, not that I ignored, but you just kind of don't play into. I'm living a good life. I'm being kind to people. Well, what God asks us to do is, it is way more extreme than that. And it's not radical. It's just being a Christian. And so I feel like I've been pressed, especially in that episode, with that idea.
I'm so glad you said that because I'm gonna yes and the other episode that I wrote down is episode 40, standing in the gap, and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of took everybody in your world on a little prayer journey because you got super into it. And
Yeah.
you and I have both had a pastor, not our current pastor, but a previous pastor that was so enamored with prayer and talked about it so much that I don't know if this is the way you got about it, but I almost got to the point where I was like, I can't talk about prayer again.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I can't. It was just ever present. And that sounds like it sounds negative the way I'm saying it. It's not really negative, but it did kind of like dull my senses to it in some
Yeah.
ways. And so to kind of, and not that our current pastor and current church doesn't talk about prayer because obviously he
We
does
do.
and the
Yeah.
church
Yeah.
does, clearly. But the way that you really push, like that really hits you. And because I
Yeah.
spend time spiritually talking with you about stuff, it kind of hit me too. It was just like it's just like a reawakening to re-examine some of the things I do in prayer, some of my long-held traditions and beliefs and things like that. And I think that that is what is good about these conversations is that sometimes you put something down for a long time or it becomes dull to you. And this really sharpens things again and makes me rethink things.
Yeah.
It's so valuable to do that. And so that happened to me with prayer this year too.
It's such a hard concept too. I feel like not prayer, but just I mention this frequently, but I think being in church and after you've been in church for so long, you feel like you start to master some of these principles,
Hmm.
or you
Hmm.
get comfortable in them. And I, I don't believe, and we can talk about this at some point, but I don't believe that's God's will for us to ever be comfortable. And that doesn't mean to not be happy or to have joy, but like there should always be a level of uncomfortability and pressing in the spirit. And I feel like this podcast has done that for me, where things that I know about, things I'm aware of, things I've lived out, things I have taught about, now they're not just, oh, let's talk about prayer. It's like, oh gosh, well, am I living that out the way the Bible really teaches us to live it out? Or am I doing what I've always
Hmm.
been taught or what I have convinced in my mind was the right way to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. All of these conversations are so good. It just there's something fresh about it. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's because of the format this is in. Like this podcast, and again, we'll hit this stuff as we go. This podcast has really, really changed me a lot this year. And I haven't spent 1 second praying during it, and I haven't
No.
spent 1 second singing a worship song or listening to a sermon, right? It's just talking. and maybe that is truly like an avenue that people need to explore more with their spirituality is we just ignore this like talking with a friend. And when we do that, I don't know, it's just something fresh about it, really.
Yeah, and we talked about that episode with iron sharpeneth iron. I
Yes.
think that gets missed. And my mom was talking about her preacher on Sunday, talking about communion and how, obviously it's acknowledging the body and what Christ did, but there's a level of that has to do with unity and being in communion with others.
True.
And that aspect I just think gets missed a lot, especially in the world that we're in now.
Mm.
You can go home, you can shut off, which you could do that anytime, but like you can connect through social media. You don't do as much as of the back and forth talking. I think
Yeah.
it's important.
Yeah. Okay, Hannah, how about a biggest surprise topic? Something
Mm.
I don't know, you didn't expect us to swerve into, or something that went deeper or was funnier than you thought it would be. Just I don't know, take us wherever you want to take us here.
Okay, first, so I have one written down, but off my head, the whole Baldy episode was absolutely shocking to me. I mean, I thought I've laughed about that for years about
Uh-huh.
how, and it's still silly, but I was like, oh God, this was more serious and meant more than I ever knew it did. So I think it took me on a different path. In fact, we talked about it during that episode. When I started that, I had like four different stories about when the Bible gets weird. Let's just
Yes.
talk about why
Yes.
the Bible's weird.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do that. I mean, maybe somebody can find a way to do that, but I feel like you really have to dive into each one to recognize why they're so weird and what they mean. And then my second one was faith over fear. And I went back to listen through some of this. And I think I'm now doing 1.5.
Oh yeah. That's what the experts do. Yeah.
It's still kind of weird, but I started doing that recently. And so I think it was in that episode where I really, you and I really dove into
It's
the
8 in the morning. It's
storm.
okay.
It's 8 in the morning. The
Oh
storm
yeah, your
stuff.
storm stuff. Yes. Yes.
And it really kind of, it's not like the episode went off course, but like I felt like we were really diving into it and talking about it. And it was very real and very raw. And so I always like being open in that way.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it was definitely like a more of an intimate conversation than I would typically be comfortable just having and putting out in the world. So that was an interesting one for me.
Yeah. For me, I think it was is the American church killing itself?
Yeah, that was a great
And
one.
and what was surprising to me about that is the response. That is one of our most listened to episodes
Yeah.
on Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube. There were several YouTube comments about it, and so that's always been like a place where you and I have been. I feel like not we're like critics of the church sometimes, and I don't mean that to be that we're negative or critical, but just that we've been in it our whole lives, and we see things inside the church, and I think both of us have the ability to just call things out when we see it, especially when it's inside the church. But I didn't know that there was quite the appetite for that in the public at large. Like, frankly, a lot of the feedback we get on some of these social media things are like people who are super anti-Christian.
Hmm.
But that episode was more of Christians being like, yes, and this, yes, and this, yes, and this. And it just was interesting to know how many more people out there are like that, like you and I, who are inside the church, but can also see, hey, sometimes there's something wrong with the church. And I don't know, it's just very interesting to see.
Well, and to have the open space to talk about it. Well, debut for my cat.
Hey, the
Hello.
kitty's on.
But to have an open space to talk about that without the influence of the world saying, "Oh, this is bad. This is wrong. I can't believe you're in a cult. I can't believe you believe these things."
Yeah,
But being able to talk about it with people and recognize, "Hey, we still believe this. We still
right.
stand on our faith." But some of this is weird. Some of this is not okay. And I think that was so important with that episode.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, speaking of listeners, how about was there something specific, impactful to you that a listener passed along or texted you, or something a listener reached out with?
I think my favorite thing was whenever one of the, and I wasn't sure whether to say her name, but one of the girls that listens frequently, she reached out to us and said that it felt like she was just having a conversation in the youth group with old friends.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's really the feel that I want. And I know that's not like that just, I just appreciated that because that's the tone that I want this to feel like.
Uh-huh.
That's how I feel it is. So that's the biggest thing to me.
Were you about to say that that wasn't a spiritual tone?
No,
Okay,
I may
okay,
have,
okay.
maybe.
I thought
Why?
that's what you were about to say, and I was like, man, that's an awfully narrow definition. I think this is spiritual. I think what we do
I,
is spiritual. It just
oh,
doesn't.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, after our witchcraft episode, I had a long individual conversation with one of our listeners that was
Okay.
kind of concerned about some of that stuff in their life and some of the influence and some of the people in their life that may be kind of interfacing with some of those things. And it was interesting to see, you know, that just opened up another avenue of conversation with somebody who's not on our podcast to talk about some of the things that were real in their life. And you think like witchcraft is not like you know what I mean? It's not like fear or anger or something like that that we think
Yeah.
of often. But it was interesting to have a path into somebody's life to kind of see where they're at and what they're struggling with. And so that was fun.
Yeah.
I love when our listeners reach out to us, but that was by far the longest conversation I've had about a
Well,
specific episode.
and
So that
that
was really
episode was
good.
brought from a listener. And I loved
Hmm.
that because
Hmm.
not that I'm not interested in talking about witchcraft, but it just wasn't on my radar. And so it was something that allowed me to talk about something that I may not have ever explored had
Yes.
this
Yes.
listener brought it up.
Yes. Yes. All right, Hannah, it's time for the rubber to meet the road here.
Okay.
How about the episode you were most nervous to release? I think I know your answer, but
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and
100,
let you go.
140%, 140. I don't know. It never came
140.
from.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from.
Wow.
It is 8 in the morning. Now, episode 47, oh gosh, we called it. It was
What if the only thing missing is Jesus?
there we go.
Yeah.
And it felt very controversial for me. Um, Controversial for me because it was following, there was a lot of political unrest.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, we recorded it and we were going to post it. And
And you
I
chickened
ended up
out.
I chickened out. That's really what it was. I chickened out. And we pulled it and then reposted it later, which I felt more comfortable with. But
Yeah, that's okay.
I just never wanted to be in a position to that would cause division. But
Yes,
I
sure.
do stand by this episode because not I think, what we talked about wasn't calling out one side or the other. It
No,
was
no.
questioning, have we put our belief in things outside of Christianity, things outside of God, and started to rely on politics more than we do on Jesus. And so I do believe it's a topic that should be talked about. And if I'm totally honest with you,
Mm.
I haven't gone back to listen to it. I
You
skipped
haven't?
it. No, I skipped it. It made me feel that uncomfortable.
Huh. I listened to it. I loved it. I didn't think we really said anything that was
I'm sure we didn't,
outside
and
the bounds. But listen, you've got certain things and I have certain things that that's what makes people different is you've got certain things that stick and I do too.
yeah, that's the one I didn't go back. I was like, I just don't think I can listen to. I now we're so many weeks off of it, and honestly, we're so many weeks from when we were originally going to post it. I
Yeah.
really should just listen to it, but I'm
Yeah.
just thinking I don't know that I can touch it. It just makes me feel weird.
Okay, so
Happy we posted
mine,
it though.
yeah, 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 yeah. Mine was the episode we did on what's happening in Genesis 6. And
Okay.
we spent some
Okay.
time talking about like giants and some of
Mm-hmm.
the again, some of the weird stuff in the Bible. That's been one of our main through lines this year is when the Bible gets weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I just listen, there's a billion Christians, but I don't know how many of them are open to some of the more supernatural, off the beaten path kind of things that I think are just laid out in the Bible. That's not like universally respected and believed by everybody. So it just is kind again, it's kind of nerve-wracking to put your own stuff, like my stuff about death. It's nerve-wracking to put your own stuff out there. But then things that are, I mean, I think it's in the Bible, but not everybody agrees it's in the Bible. That's kind of scary to put out there too
Well, I
for
mean,
people.
it is there, and we actually had conversations. We've had conversations for years about this stuff, and in fact, when
Hmm.
I'm in conversation with other Christians, they'll bring stuff up, and that's the kind of stuff I want to plug and talk about.
Yeah.
But I have to refrain because I know who I'm talking to,
Yes.
um, and I'm not sure they'll be as open to it. But like it is in the Bible.
It's
It's
there.
like It's right there. But yes, that episode, that was an interesting one. In fact, I think we just scraped the surface with that
Yeah, I
episode.
think so too. I don't know that we have very many quote unquote controversial beliefs,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
uh, for the world at large, that's probably one of them we both have a little bit. And
Hmm.
it's just kind of scary. It's a very vulnerable feeling to put that stuff out there. It's kind of exciting in its own way, but it makes you nervous. Like, will people reject me? Are people going to think this is okay? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just very interesting. Okay, so how about the nuts and bolts of podcasting? Let's stop here for a second.
Okay.
What to you specifically was the most challenging part of doing this on a weekly basis? Because we didn't miss. Now
Mm-mm.
there were a couple weeks we recorded two because you were going to be traveling or I was too, but we put one out every single week this year. So what was challenging about that too?
I thought about this question for a bit because honestly, it's like my favorite part of the week. Like
Hmm.
I love recording it.
Hmm.
Um, I think initially it was the idea of carving out the time.
Okay.
It's so much a part of the routine. Like I know what I'm doing. I enjoy the prep. I enjoy it. So it doesn't feel like it's work. Um, yeah, I mean,
This
so
is like in an interview when they ask you for your biggest weakness and
I
you're like,
know.
I just
I know.
care
I'm
so
trying to, I
much.
mean, okay, so I will say that. Let
I
me
have
say this.
something, but go
Let
ahead.
me say this. The actual, we put outlines together.
Yeah.
And so that part can be challenging because I am the type of person, and Matt, you know this, I take 400 years to do anything.
Really?
Um, are you being
Yes.
I just do. It takes me something that should take people 10 minutes is going to take me 30 minutes. It just will. And so if it
That's true
yeah,
facts. Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
true facts. So I think that part I guess I would say is hard. But I enjoy it. So
Well, I'm much more efficient than you are, sometimes to
yep,
my detriment. Sometimes the way that you linger over something causes you to go back or catch something that I'm just kind of powering through. So that's
sure.
definitely something I need to work on. But for me, it's kind of an outline thing too, in that I've got to make decisions about where to cut things off.
Yeah.
And even inside of episodes, you'll make this really awesome point that I see. We could just go chase that for 20 minutes,
Hmm.
but there are other places I want us to get to in the episode. So it's that balancing act of like that kind of free range, anything goes kind of conversation, which I'm not sure is always good podcasting because it's all over the place, versus like being a slave to what we have down and knowing
Yeah.
when to break off and knowing when to not. And then just frankly, not overstuffing each episode too much because I mean, it's just like an endless amount of things that I'm interested in talking to you about. So it can be hard to kind of, clarity is key though. It's just, you have to be
Yeah.
clear and concise for people. I think that's important.
And if you look back, like at the beginning of our episodes, we had really short outlines. There's a period where specifically mine got really, really long. And then we've talked since then about kind of cutting those back so we have more freedom in that conversation. And again, I agree with that clarity, but I think that's been a piece that we've had to try to perfect. What do we want that to look like? How do we make this a free conversation, but yet still follow and try to get to a point?
As our listeners can attest to, we have not perfected it. We're still working on it
We're
and
still
we'll
working on it.
continue to grind. Okay, Hannah, let's lighten it up. Favorite running joke, favorite funny thing that just kind of keeps popping back up. I
Okay, my
know what
favorite.
mine is immediately, but go
Well,
ahead.
me too, but this one I think it has to die in 2025. I love it. The old people talk. Is that going to be yours?
Oh, nope. It's not yours. It's not
Oh,
mine. No.
oh, well, okay. So in all honesty, love old people talk, but I'm like, are the listeners getting are they getting tired of that? Does it need to die in 2025? Is it
Well,
too old?
the only way we can know is listeners, you let us know. You want more old people to talk or not? You know?
Okay, let me say this. True old people, I think it's our line. I'm like, are they tired of us saying old
Oh,
people?
people talk. I
Although
just kind of
that
like it.
and honestly, yours really sounds like an old person.
Thank you.
Like white haired with glasses, like a thin
Yeah.
face
Well,
and
I'm
tall.
10 years closer than you, so it should be.
That is true. So that's my favorite running joke, but also wondering if it needs to die.
My favorite running joke is you picking up your shield. You can just count on it. Like once every 2 or 3 episodes, there's going to be some kind of thing where it's like hashtag justice for something, and Hannah's going to pick up her
That's
shield to
me.
want to fix something, and
That's
it's
me.
it's just always good. It's like a little Captain America reference every once in a while. We'll throw some Marvel in. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. It's just me. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? That is reoccurring every 2 or 3 episodes. hundred
Yeah,
percent.
it just spills out of you and you really can't help it. And it's a wonderful trait. I don't want you to change it, but I just like the fact that we talk about your shield. It's
Oh, I
good.
could not change it if I wanted to. So
No, yeah, you shouldn't.
it's
You definitely
just
shouldn't.
there. It's just there.
Okay, so this is kind of a big question, Hannah. What do you hope listeners have taken away from our podcast in this year?
I hope they take away a couple of things.
Okay.
One, that as a Christian, it's important to be open and honest. And it's okay to be open and honest with where you are and what you believe. Because I think it's easy in Christianity to put on a mask and to be in a leadership role or to walk into church and to not openly question things.
Hmm.
And so I hope that our listeners take from this that you can be in church your whole life, you can be in church for 2 weeks, one day, whatever, but questioning what the Bible says and what your beliefs are is that's a good thing,
Hmm.
because ultimately I believe it sharpens us, which takes me into the second thing I hope that people learn or take from this is that the word is living, it's alive, and it should constantly be sharpening us. So what you thought 20 years ago, it doesn't mean that our core values change, but there are aspects of it that I do believe should change and should change us. That's why I believe the word says it's alive.
I agree. I wrote down two things too, and they kind of, this is not surprising, they kind of piggyback off of yours. One
Yeah.
of them is that wrestling with the spirit and the word is key. I think that needs to be, you use the phrase posture a lot, and I think it's a good phrase to use. I think that needs to be our base level posture. And frankly, wrestling as your default posture can be, there are moments where that can be exhausting. If you just think physically, like you're just ready to wrestle everything that comes in your path, that wears you out. So I do think spiritually that has to be our default, but I do think we have to kind of be on guard at times of seeking out rest and seeking out things. So it's that kind of balance that we have to find after. But I think you're right. I think far too many people, their default is the rest, and they're just passively taking stuff in, they're passively accepting things, and that's not really the way that this is designed to me at all, which leads me to my second thing, and I think this is part of the wrestling that I'm talking about. I hope that everybody continues to listen to our conversations. I love that you do. I think it's a privilege that people allow us to speak into their lives, but I think that people need to be seeking their own deep conversations in real life with Christian friends that they have. You need to be emulating this because,
Yeah.
as we'll get to in just a second, this has made my faith so much stronger this year. And I would have already considered myself a quote unquote strong Christian. That's the life I try to live. But I think mine is infinitely deeper and wider because of these conversations. So don't let Beyond Sundays be the only time you have a quote unquote conversation about God. Seek those out from people in your life. I think it's incredibly important.
I think that's great.
Okay, so for Hannah, how about you? How does your faith look different now than it did on January 1st, 2025?
So I feel like for me, it's I'm have lived, and again, I said this at the beginning, but this uncomfortable state, and I think it's a healthy uncomfortable state. It's this, it's not being satisfied. It's uh, not being satisfied in where I am spiritually, but just desiring more and wanting to seek more, being challenged. I also think that that all goes in with being stirred up. And I looked up the scripture. It's First Timothy or
Hmm.
Second Timothy verse 1, 6 through 7. For all my young 7. That's all I hear all the time.
Oh
So
man, I was
it's
thinking
all I
about what
hear.
you were saying, and so I didn't even get the 6-7 reference. But well,
I can't hear 6, 7 at all whatsoever without
our
doing the routine.
listeners in the preteen and teen category just skyrocketed, and everybody middle age just turned this off. So congrats.
100%. But it does say, for this reason, I remind you to fan into the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of hands. And so that fanning into the gift of the God, into the gift of God, that fanning has to do with stewardship. It has to do with taking care of
Mm.
what God has given you, which was another great episode when we talked about the gifts, something I hadn't explored before. But I do feel like this podcast allows me to fan into my gifting, to fan into my relationship with God, Um, and this is probably going to be the theme for me of this next year, this uncomfortability,
Mm.
this being in this place of needing God and not just relying on myself and my own talents and what I've always known and what I've been taught, but leaning into God. And that is uncomfortable. That's against what human nature wants.
It is.
So I hope that gives enough of that. I feel like I
Yeah.
was kind of all over the place with that.
No, well, I mean, it hits you in multiple directions. So I think
Yeah.
that's great. I think, first of all, what I'd like to say is thank you for doing this with me. You are like a, sorry for the pun here, you're like a landmark person for me in my walk with God, just like an incredibly important. I was about to say you're kind of like a guiding star, and obviously that's God, and I don't mean it like that, but you, in the constellation of things that try to guide me towards Jesus, you're very bright in that constellation. So I really appreciate this time and all of your efforts and everything that you've done, because you've helped push me. And you talk a lot on this podcast, or maybe more at church, about how I was your youth pastor and I always pushed you, but it's so great for now us to both be adults and you to also be able to push me, and that's just been a it's been a really really great experience this year. I think for me specifically, um my focus has gotten more outside of the church building,
Yeah.
and I think that's just a severe weakness in Christians as a whole, in that I think church is vitally important. It's crucial. The Bible says,
Yeah.
without the word, you can't be saved. And so that is the place where we go to hear the word. There's so much good that happens in church. But for a lot of people, the church building is it. That's all that happens. That's all that it is. Nothing happens outside of it or beyond it. And so the fact that we spend 95% of our time on this podcast talking about ideas and concepts and things about our daily lives and not what happens at church, it's just making me realize how much of my own time I spent thinking about inside the church building
Yeah.
and how little I've thought about outside the church building. And that was really convicting for me this year. Who am I and what do I do? Not just when I'm the youth pastor, the assistant pastor, or whatever, but what am I really in life? That's a
Yeah.
hard, big question to wrestle with, but I wrestle with that a lot this year.
I think that's great. I think that's great. I think we are both, I feel like I'm different. And I think you're saying the same than I was at the beginning of January.
I think it would be silly for us not to, and
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. So, listeners, for season 2, we do have some. We're not going to make like complete wholesale upside down changes, because I like what we do, and
Yeah.
I think that it's meaningful and worthwhile. But you'll probably see a few things different here or there. We've got a few different ideas that we want to hit on and share. I think this is a great opportunity, though, for the listeners. You guys are the ones that power the show. Anything that you want to reach out and say, hey, we love this. Hey, old people talk's got to go. Hey, we hated that. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Let us know, because we'd like to be responsive to our community and what you guys like and enjoy. Hannah, is there any parting wisdom or things you'd like to say to 2025 for our listeners?
Well, we love you guys and thank
Yes.
you for listening to us. And I do have to say, thank you for all that you do. And I know I tell you this privately and you're always like, stop it, whatever. But you do so much for this podcast beyond just getting on here and recording and putting in an outline. All of the posts that you make, everything that you put on social media, all the emails and just the organization pieces that I don't have to bear that burden. Number one, because it would take me 3 times longer.
I'll get
But
it done faster. You're right.
number two, you're just willing to do.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. And I hope and pray that in 5 years we are mega millionaires that are giving most of our money back to the church because of this. But if we're not, I appreciate the fact that you were willing to pour into me when I was 12 and 13 and 14, but then to continue those conversations as adults.
Yeah, it's my privilege, and what can I say? I love getting yelled at by internet trolls, so it's really great.
Yeah. Okay, listeners,
Yeah,
help us out. Please put some nice comments. Some of these people are mean, 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 mean.
specifically TikTok. If you want to go get a good listen, just scroll through some of our videos. It's a good time. People just really come out of left field, and it's quite
They
entertaining
they
to me.
they do. I think they're just having fun. And what
There's
what can we say about that?
there's something something's going on. All right, well, listeners, that is going to do that for us for the year of 2025. The awesome thing is, if you're later to our podcast, our earlier episodes are up. You can listen to them. You can listen to them all second time. If you want to get real crazy, and you might glean some stuff that you hadn't already. But like every time, we want to thank you for joining us today. We always hope that you enjoy going beyond Sundays and hope that you enjoyed our conversation today. If you have any thoughts or comments about your topic today or anything else, please reach out to us. Go to beyondsundays.pod.com for our show links and socials. And until next time, and through next year, may the Lord bless you and keep you.